The early 17th century saw Europeans crossing the vast Atlantic Ocean, driven by dreams of new opportunities and a fresh start in an unknown land. These brave souls embarked on perilous journeys, leaving behind their familiar lives in search of prosperity and freedom. They were searching for new opportunities and a new life, hoping to build a future in a land that promised endless possibilities. The sight of the New World filled them with hope and trepidation as they stepped onto the shores of North America. England established its first permanent colony in Jamestown, Virginia, in 1607. This marked the beginning of a significant chapter in the history of European colonization in North America. The settlers faced numerous challenges, but their determination laid the foundation for future colonies. Other European powers, including France, Spain, and the Netherlands, also established colonies in North America. Each nation brought its own ambitions and cultural influences, contributing to the diverse tapestry of colonial life. These colonies were diverse in their geography, resources, and populations. From the fertile lands of the south to the rugged terrains of the north, each region offered unique opportunities and challenges for the settlers. The English colonies, however, would eventually come to dominate the eastern seaboard. Their strategic locations and growing populations made them influential centers of trade and culture. Life in the colonies was hard. Settlers had to adapt to unfamiliar climates, cultivate the land, and build homes from scratch. The harsh conditions tested their resilience and ingenuity. Colonists faced disease, harsh weather, and conflicts with Native American tribes. These challenges often led to high mortality rates and forced the settlers to rely on each other for survival. Despite these challenges, the colonies grew. The promise of land and opportunity continued to attract new settlers, leading to the expansion of towns and farmlands. They attracted settlers from all walks of life: farmers, merchants, artisans, and indentured servants. This diverse population brought a variety of skills and knowledge, enriching the colonial communities. The colonists brought with them their own cultures, traditions, and beliefs. These cultural practices helped to maintain a sense of identity and community in the New World. This mix of people and ideas would shape the development of the colonies and, ultimately, the United States. The blending of different cultures created a unique American identity that would continue to evolve over time. The colonists relied on agriculture, fishing, and trade to sustain themselves. These activities were the backbone of the colonial economy, providing food and resources for the growing population. Tobacco became a major cash crop in the southern colonies, while the northern colonies developed a more diverse economy. The economic activities in each region reflected their unique environments and resources. As the colonies grew, so too did their desire for self-governance. The settlers began to establish their own assemblies and local governments, seeking greater control over their affairs. They established their own assemblies and began to chafe under British rule. The growing sense of independence and desire for self-determination set the stage for future conflicts with the British Crown. This growing sense of independence would eventually lead to revolution. The American Revolution was a pivotal moment in history as the colonies fought for their right to self-govern and break free from British control. The seeds of a new nation were sown in this period of colonization. The struggles and triumphs of the early settlers laid the groundwork for the birth of the United States. From these humble beginnings, a superpower would eventually emerge. The journey from small colonial settlements to a powerful nation was marked by ambition, innovation, and resilience. The story of the United States is one of ambition, struggle, and ultimately triumph. The nation's history is filled with remarkable achievements and milestones that have shaped its identity and place in the world. It is a story that continues to unfold today. The legacy of the early colonists lives on in the modern United States, a testament to their enduring spirit and vision for a better future. By the mid-18th century, tensions between Great Britain and its American colonies were reaching a boiling point. The relationship, once marked by mutual benefit and cooperation, had begun to fray. The colonies, which had enjoyed a degree of autonomy, were now feeling the heavy hand of British rule more acutely than ever before. The British government, burdened by debt from the 7 Years' War, sought to exert greater control over the colonies and extract more revenue from them. This war, which had been fought on multiple continents, had drained the British treasury, and the government saw the colonies as a source of much-needed funds. This led to a series of unpopular policies, including the Stamp Act, the Townshend Acts, and the Tea Act. Each of these acts imposed new taxes and regulations on the colonies, sparking widespread anger and resentment among the colonists. The colonists viewed these policies as infringements on their rights as Englishmen. They believed that they were entitled to the same rights and privileges as those living in Britain, including the right to be taxed only by their own elected representatives. They argued that they should not be taxed without representation in Parliament. This principle, encapsulated in the slogan "No taxation without representation," became a rallying cry for the growing resistance movement. Protests erupted across the colonies, fueled by the fiery rhetoric of leaders like Samuel Adams, Patrick Henry, and Thomas Paine. These men, through their speeches and writings, inspired their fellow colonists to stand up against what they saw as tyranny. The Boston Tea Party, in which colonists disguised as Native Americans dumped British tea into Boston Harbor, became a symbol of colonial defiance. This bold act of protest was a direct challenge to British authority and demonstrated the colonists' willingness to take drastic measures. The British government responded to colonial resistance with increasingly harsh measures. Determined to reassert control, they implemented a series of punitive laws known as the Intolerable Acts. The Intolerable Acts, passed in 1774, closed the port of Boston, restricted colonial self-governance, and quartered British troops in colonial homes. These measures were intended to punish the colonies, particularly Massachusetts, for their defiance. These actions only served to further inflame tensions and push the colonies closer to war. The sense of injustice and oppression felt by the colonists grew stronger, and calls for independence became more widespread. By 1775, the situation had reached a breaking point. The colonies were on the brink of open conflict, and both sides were preparing for the inevitable clash. Clashes between British troops and colonial militiamen at Lexington and Concord marked the beginning of the American Revolution. These battles, though small in scale, were significant in that they represented the first armed resistance to British rule. The colonies, united in their desire for independence, were now locked in a bitter struggle with the most powerful empire on earth. The road to revolution had been long and fraught with challenges, but the determination and resilience of the colonists would ultimately lead them to victory and the birth of a new nation. The American Revolution was a long and bloody conflict spanning from 1775 to 1783. It was a struggle for independence that pitted the 13 American colonies against the might of the British Empire. The war was marked by numerous battles, hardships, and a relentless pursuit of freedom by the colonists. Colonial militias, lacking the training and resources of the British Army, relied on guerrilla tactics and the support of foreign powers like France and Spain. These alliances were crucial, as they provided much-needed supplies, troops, and naval support, which helped to level the playing field against the well-equipped British forces. Key victories at Saratoga and Yorktown turned the tide of the war in favor of the colonists. The Battle of Saratoga in 1777 was particularly significant, as it convinced France to formally ally with the American cause. The decisive victory at Yorktown in 1781, where British General Cornwallis surrendered, effectively ended major combat operations. In 1776, amidst the turmoil of war, the Continental Congress adopted the Declaration of Independence. This bold document not only declared the colony's intent to separate from Britain, but also articulated the philosophical foundations of the new nation. This document, penned by Thomas Jefferson, declared that all men are created equal and endowed with certain unalienable rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It was a revolutionary statement that resonated deeply with the colonists and inspired them to continue their fight for freedom. It served as a powerful statement of the ideals for which the colonists were fighting. The Declaration of Independence became a symbol of hope and a rallying cry for those seeking to break free from British rule. After years of struggle, Great Britain formally recognized American independence with the Treaty of Paris in 1783. This treaty marked the end of the Revolutionary War and the beginning of a new era for the United States. the newly formed United States faced the daunting task of building a nation from scratch. The war had left the country in a state of disarray, with a fragile economy and a need for a stable government to unite the diverse states. The Articles of Confederation, adopted in 1777, proved too weak to effectively govern the fledgling nation. The lack of a strong central authority led to numerous challenges, including economic instability and difficulties in managing interstate relations. In 1787, delegates from the states gathered in Philadelphia to address the shortcomings of the Articles. This historic meeting, known as the Constitutional Convention, brought together some of the brightest minds of the time to draft a new framework for governance. The result was the United States Constitution, a remarkable document that established a system of government based on separation of powers, checks and balances, and federalism. This new constitution provided a stronger central government while still preserving the rights of the individual states. The Constitution, ratified in 1788, has served as the foundation of American governance for over 2 centuries. It remains a living document, guiding the nation through times of change and challenge, and ensuring the principles of democracy and liberty endure. The early years of the United States were marked by both progress and challenges. George Washington, elected the first president in 1789, provided steady leadership during this formative period. His administration established key precedents for the new government, including the creation of a cabinet and the establishment of a federal court system. The young nation faced threats both internal and external. The Whiskey Rebellion, a tax revolt in western Pennsylvania, tested the government's ability to enforce its laws. Foreign entanglements, particularly with Great Britain and France, threatened to drag the nation into another war. Despite these challenges, the United States grew rapidly in both size and population. The Louisiana Purchase in 1803 doubled the size of the country. Westward expansion, fueled by the desire for land and opportunity, led to the displacement of Native American tribes and the admission of new states to the Union. The issue of slavery, however, cast a long shadow over the nation's development. The invention of the cotton gin in 1793 made cotton production more profitable, leading to an increased demand for slave labor in the South. The debate over slavery would continue to divide the nation and ultimately lead to the Civil War. The Civil War left the United States deeply scarred, but it also set the stage for a period of profound transformation. The Reconstruction era, beginning in 1865, aimed to rebuild the South and integrate formerly enslaved people into American society. Despite significant progress, including the passage of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, Reconstruction faced fierce opposition and ultimately fell short of its goals, leading to a century-long struggle for civil rights. As the 19th century drew to a close, the United States entered the Industrial Revolution. This era saw rapid advancements in technology and infrastructure, transforming the nation into an economic powerhouse. However, it also brought about harsh labor conditions, leading to the rise of labor unions and movements demanding fair wages and working hours. The early 20th century was marked by global conflicts. The United States' involvement in World War I and World War II not only positioned it as a global leader, but also spurred significant social and economic changes at home. The post-World War II era, known as the Cold War, was characterized by a tense rivalry with the Soviet Union, leading to an arms race and numerous proxy wars. This period also saw the United States make significant strides in space exploration, culminating in the Apollo 11 moon landing in 1969. The mid-20th century was a time of social upheaval and progress. The civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s, led by figures such as Martin Luther King Jr., sought to end racial segregation and discrimination, resulting in landmark legislation like the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. As the century turned, technological advancements began to reshape every aspect of life. The rise of the internet and digital technology revolutionized communication, commerce, and entertainment. The 21st century has seen rapid advancements in fields such as artificial intelligence, renewable energy, and biotechnology. More recently, the United States has faced new challenges and opportunities. The COVID-19 pandemic, beginning in 2020, tested the nation's resilience and adaptability. Social movements advocating for racial justice, gender equality, and climate action have gained momentum, reflecting a society continually striving for progress. As we look towards 2025 and beyond, the United States continues to evolve. The nation's history is a testament to its ability to overcome adversity, innovate, and pursue a more perfect union. The journey from Reconstruction to modern day underscores the enduring spirit of a nation constantly in motion, ever reaching for a brighter future. The story of the United States is far from over, and as we move forward, we carry with us the lessons of the past, the achievements of the present, and the hopes for a better tomorrow. This is a video by the Millenium Studios.